Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Shea Station podcast. It's episode 99 on Thursday, September 15th, bright and early at 8:30 Eastern. Our New York Mets have just been swept in a three-game series for the first time this year. Was it against the Dodgers? No. Was it against the Astros? No. The Braves? No. The Chicago Cubs. I'm Jack. Joining me is Jerry. Jerry, how you doing?
I feel like it would have been better if it were the Dodgers, the Cubs, or the Astros. I don't think so.
I agree.
At least there's like, well, you know,
they're pretty good.
because we beat the Dodgers and we were like, hey man, it doesn't. We can get them in the playoffs. This one just feels like, what are we doing?
It made me think a lot because SNY was being especially cruel and showing a lot of 2015 highlights because Mets beat the Cubs that year. The Mets went 0-7 against the Cubs that year. I remember they didn't win a single game against the Cubs, and then they beat them in the NLCS. And the Cubs got a little bit of revenge there. So good for them. But tough series. Really
Yeah, that
tough
was a
series.
tough series. Overall, just like no sense of urgency from the offense. It was lackluster.
Yeah.
Tough to watch.
Lindor had a good quote at the end of the finale and said that the best thing about the clubhouse right now is no one's blaming anyone, which is good. I don't think the blame is falling square on everyone. It's kind of it's a team wide issue right now.
Yeah.
They're still doing that thing where they work great first innings and get guys on. And in all three of these games, they couldn't scratch out a run, and that kind of just set the tone for the entire thing. A lot of pop ups, a lot of jam shots. Just I think a lot of reaching for it at the plate, and it just didn't work out.
They showed a good graphic that the Cubs starting rotation since the All-Star break is legit. They have a 3.11 ERA.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
We can
that's
help them out.
legit. That's strong. And the pitchers that we face had good stuff and they pitched well. Like, Samson, the sinker baller, was all over the place to start, and then he locked it in. Like, we didn't get to him. That's why you do things like score in the first run is so important, especially when you have those opportunities, because guys are searching. You saw what they did to David Peterson.
Yes.
David Peterson was searching. He had good stuff. He just could not locate it, and they capitalized on it. He capitalized for them by walking them. Which is, again, we'll get into it, but that was, those are the things that we normally do as a winning ball club with the New York Mets, is take advantage of opportunities and capitalize. And we haven't been doing that. So you see the results.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to close my window.
Okay. I'm going to pour some coffee.
Neighbor's mowing his lawn.
What time is it?
Don't know. It's 8:41, so I guess he's just getting ahead of it.
8:41 on a Thursday. Hey, I mean,
some people love it, man. Some people love it.
My neighbor, who I adore, our two neighbors, mows his lawn at least 2 times a week, right after work. So we'll be like sitting on the patio, and he's out there pushing his
2 times a week. He must have a beautiful yard.
Their yard is spectacular. He's one of those, Do you know any of those guys that do that are like yard guys?
Here. Yes, there's plenty.
He's definitely one of those.
And they always have great gardens and stuff, so it's nice to like walk past them with my dog or whatever. But it's 8:40 in the morning and I'm recording a show. Not as good.
That's not as good.
All right, let's hop right back in, guys. We have the recaps. We're gonna breeze through them to save you the trouble, and they are brought to you by our lovely friends at Bear Burger. Bear Burger has got something for everyone. Yes, even you. If you're feeling sad and low after this sweep, I highly recommend going down to your local Bear Burger, getting yourself something nice and juicy, maybe a side of fries, maybe a beer, maybe a glass of wine. Maybe that's exactly what you need right now. Bear Burger has it all, and it's ready for you. And they got the lunch special, 12 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. You can go today. Get that special right now. Probably while you're listening to this, it'd be perfect. Choice of select sandwich served with fries for the whole family for $14.95. They got the bar, a happy hour, $1 PBRs, $5 mules. You don't even need a fat wallet to, wallow in your sorrows right now, guys. It's perfect.
Wallet to wallow.
Like that? Pretty similar. Kind of was hard to say. Not going to lie. Click the link in our description to find yourself at the best happy hour, tastiest burger, join an overall great spot at order.bearburger.com. I believe we have some Met fans at Bear Burger too. So if you guys are listening, make sure you dip into that company card today. Get yourself a burger as well. You need to treat yourself. And thank you to Bear Burger for sponsoring our recaps. Jerry, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it. Let's get in.
This is going to be absolutely
electric. You got it. Energy. Bring it. Make it till you make it.
The Mets welcome in the Chicago Cubs into Citi Field. They get things going in the first against Javier Assad, and Kenna strikes out with the bases loaded to strand everyone after a Lindor single and 2 walks in the first. Chris Bassitt, who's been so sharp, did not have it. Simply put, did not have it on this night. 3 2/3 innings, 5 earnings, 2 walks and 2 strikeouts, and 2 home runs allowed. Kind of some weird home runs. Ortega goes down 0-2 with 2 outs after 5 outs in a row to start the game for Chris Bassitt, and then he punches a solo home run. Bassitt walks Alfonso Rivas after getting him to an 0-2 count, and Zach McKinstry, not known for his power, he punches a 2-run homer in the third. A walk and then an errant pickoff throw enables another RBI single for the Cubs in the fourth from Ortega again, and then they punch another one to knock Bassitt out of the game. But the Mets get a run back. James McCann, who's been swinging a much better bat of late, gets an RBI single with 2 outs. So the Mets have 2 out and 2 on, but Brandon Nimmo strikes out to end the inning, so they stick with only 1. Next inning in the 6th, Eduardo Escobar hits one deep to center field, bounces off the wall on a misplay. He gets a triple. Tyler Naquin strikes out with a runner on third to end the inning. Javier Assad only allows 1 earned run in 6 innings. He actually looked very sharp. Kind of a similar to Bassitt kind of pitcher. 6 pitches. He can pretty much throw you anything. It's just the command issue at this point. But he was working on this night. The Mets bullpen, though, in the wake of Bassitt, has a great outing, 5 1/3 scoreless innings. Michael Givens was the star. He strikes out 5 over 2 shutout innings. But the Cubs bullpen does their job as well. They do their job until Lindor hits a 2-out solo home run in the 9th to make it a 5-2 game. But McNeil grounds out to end it. The Mets go 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. They leave 10 men on base. Canna himself leaves 6 on base. Alonso, Escobar, Naquin, and Ruff leave 3 on base. The Mets lose 5-2, and the panic alarm was still at like a green or a yellow right now because we had done this the past 2 series, so not a big deal.
Yeah, yep. Canna's big strikeout looking in the first inning was tough. That's not something that he does.
Yeah,
he does walk a lot, but he also swings the bat at strikes. So that one, I thought he left more than that. I thought he came up with the bases loaded again and struck out looking again, but it was just 2 runners on again.
Yeah, not a great night for him. Just uncharacteristic, I think.
Yeah, really. And they were strikes, and he didn't have great command of the strike zone in game 1. That was tough. Outside of that, bullpen, Michael Givens, man, looking
awesome.
Good.
Really good.
See James McCann, like you said, swinging it. And Bassitt, just an off night.
And I think he's earned an off night because he's been so sharp for like 7 or 8 starts at this point. So it was bound to end eventually. Tough that it happened on this night, though.
Yeah, that was tough. Score. This is the story of anybody's season. Runners in scoring position. You go 1 for 9. There's a good chance you're going to lose. So,
yep.
Ready for game 2?
Ready as I'll ever be, Jerry.
All right, here we go. Game 2. This is the get right game. You have the return of Luis Guillorme, and you have Jacob deGrom on the bump. It was spectacular. It happened just like you'd hoped, except it did not. The Cubs get to Jacob deGrom before the Mets get to the Cubs. It was in the 2nd inning after the Mets leave the bases loaded again in the first. Ian Happ, former friend of the pod, no longer a friend because you can't hit a home run off the Grom and be friends with the Mets pod. He takes a 3-2, 99-mile-an-hour fastball deep to right field, way up in the upper deck. That was a bomb. He's known to have some pop, so that's not out of the ordinary. Jacob deGrom, along with all the great pitchers that throw a lot of strikes, give up solo shots. So it's not the end of the world. It's 1-0. Except they started to play a little bit of small ball after the Mets cannot score again. It's the fourth inning against DeGrom. Reyes, Hap single. Hermosillo reaches on an error on a sac bunt where we've seen it too many times in those 2015 replays. It was the play at the plate on a bunt. Didn't work out. Jan Gomes hits a sac fly who killed us, it felt like. Wisdom bunts for a hit and another run. It's 3-0 Cubs. DeGrom doesn't pitch amazing, gives up the solo shot and then a couple of small ball runs. He ends up going 6, 3 earned runs, 5 hits, no walks, 10 Ks on 96 pitches. His ERA ballooned to 2.01. Seth Lugo gives up another home run later in the inning or in the game. Just a good piece of hit, and the ball just kept carrying. Bodie's got some pop. That was a shocker. That was the one where like, oh, that got out. But that was 4-0. And the Mets scratched across a run when Pete Alonso crushes a solo home run in the 9th. But it was too little too late. Once again, they go 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position, only have 6 men on base the whole game, get just 4 hits. And the Mets lose game 2, the middle match, which is odd. A DeGrom start, game 2, also odd. And they lose 4-1, losing a series at home against the lowly Cubs.
Tough one.
Tough.
As if, any of them were easy. This was the one that I went to. Jerry, let me tell you, organizing a JM Mets outing is not easy. You got to let a lot of people know you're going so no one feels left out. You got to buy a lot of tickets in bulk. Make sure you find a section that everybody likes. Pick a good game. I mapped out the DeGrom game to make sure everyone got to see a DeGrom start. Drive there, pay for parking, walk up, make sure you get fed. And then I sit there for 9 innings and I watch that game unfold. That was tough. I mean, DeGrom still struck out 10. I mean, the Cubs...
I mean, you got the price of admission. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Good job. First of all, it sounded a lot like when I was Whitney and I were planning our wedding.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Same amount of stress, same, pressure.
Yeah. You got people in the office like, dude, I wanted to go. You don't like me? Are you friend anymore?
I don't want to get into the office politics. All right, it's a whole thing. All right.
Oh yeah, shout out to your Chicago accent. Not bad.
Not bad.
Midwest accent. Good job.
Tried slipping it in there. Who knows?
Yeah. Again, the offense just did nothing.
Yeah.
We're back to that feeling of the starters. All pitchers have to be perfect. And when he gave up that home run to Ian Happ, I felt like, all right. But when he gave up that second run in the 4th inning, and then it ended up being, another run, I was like, this is over. And that was a weird feeling. I haven't felt that before because I have no faith right now, that our offense was going to put it together. And that was a weird feeling to feel like, oh, we're not going to win this game, a DeGrom start again. So that was strange.
Yeah, I was going to say pretty much the same thing. A 3-0 deficit felt insurmountable for this offense. Kudos to the Cubs. I mean, the small ball choices in that rally that they put up in the 4th inning were great. The bunts were fantastic.
That's what you got to do against DeGrom. That's
exactly.
Smart baseball. That's what they hired. What's his name again?
David Ross.
David Ross. That's why David Ross is there. That's what you got to do when you're a lesser team facing the best pitcher on earth. You gotta anticipate those things.
Yeah. And Hap hit an absolute bomb, so he's not allowed on Shea Station anymore. That's just the rules. I don't make the rules, I just enforce them.
Yeah, I mean, we just enforce.
That's all it is. And the Mets, on a night where they used DeGrom, Lugo, Onavido, and Diaz, which would be the roadmap, I think, for a Game 1 playoff victory. They lose 4-1. Game could have been different if in that first inning, Alonso's 2-run homer just goes a little bit to the right and stays fair.
It was foul, though. You got to capitalize.
It was foul. And Alonso running the bases.
You left the bases loaded in the first again.
Yep. Can't be doing that back-to-back games.
Bogey had a big ground out there in that first inning.
Yeah. I think we were by a Vogelbach relative as well, because every at-bat, this guy, bigger guy, up, filming every single Vogelbach at-bat, screaming his name. And I felt bad for him because Vogie did not have a good night.
Could be just a big fan.
Could be a big fan, but I don't know.
Where were you sitting? In
we
really
were
good
in
seats?
the 300s by the third baseline. So
I don't know what that is.
It's like the second deck.
Oh, okay. Probably not family.
Probably not, but
maybe friends section.
Maybe. Could be.
Probably not, though.
So the Mets drop the first two games. They lose on DeGrom Day, but they still have one more game to salvage this thing. They haven't been swept all season, so let's go. Let's get it done. It's David Peterson, and what I'd say is arguably the biggest start of his career, and our guy does not have it. He has a blow-up outing, gets only one out in the first inning, 5 earned runs, 2 hits and 3 walks with 1 strikeout on 29 pitches. He had 3 and 2 counts to start the game, but he walks all 3 hitters. He loses them all. And after he strikes out Patrick Wisdom, it's Yan Gomes again. And they get back-to-back 2-run doubles in that frame. They go up 4-0, and David Peterson leaves the game early. It is up to Trevor Williams to take on the bulk of the game. Williams didn't look sharp at the beginning at all. He lets up a double and a single immediately to make it a 6-0 game, but then he comes back and strikes out the final 2 batters to end the first. Then he strikes out the side in the second and another batter in the third for 6 consecutive Ks. So Trevor Williams having his revenge game against his former team in the Cubs. He finishes his line with 4 1/3 innings, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts for him on 83 pitches. That ERA is now down to 2.95 on the season. Trevor Williams having quite the year for the Mets. Tomas Nido got us started with his second home run in the second consecutive at-bat after not homering all year long off Drew Smyly. That makes it a 6-1 game. And then this game was the story of the double play. Eduardo Escobar and Darren Ruff get singles. So Darren Ruff snaps his 0 for 18 skid. They get 2 on with nobody out in the 6th inning, but Tomas Nido, who we were just singing his praises, swings at the first pitch, hits into a sharp double play. The Mets would get a run on an error by Patrick Wisdom, but it remains 6-2. Then Guillorme and Nido in the 7th get 2 out singles. The Mets get something brewing again. Brandon Nimmo grounds out to end the inning after a 3-2 pitch. The Mets bullpen, they did their best to keep him in this thing. 8 2/3 innings, which is a lot to ask for. 1 earned run, 5 hits, 2 walks, and 12 punchies for the Mets bullpen. They finished the series with almost 18 innings and only 2 earned runs allowed. Tommy Hunter and Alex Claudio both get 4 hitless outs, and Trevor May adds a scoreless inning, so 2 scoreless innings for Trevor May in the series. That's a win for me. The Mets get their only run on another Pete Alonso solo home run in the 9th, number 35 on the year, to make it a 6-3 game. Right before that, though, Francisco Lindor hit into a double play after Canna's leadoff single. That could have been a huge difference maker in the game to pull the Mets within 1. Instead, it becomes a solo home run. So that's the 8th inning, and then McNeil leads off the 9th with a hit by pitch. Escobar hits one maybe 2 feet within a home run. It gets robbed instead by Hermosillo, who became a new Mets killer in this series all of a sudden. And Luis Guillorme joins in on the double play party, hits into one to end the game. The Mets finish this series 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position. They leave 21 men on base total, and they hit into 3 double plays in this game with a runner on first. And they lose the final game 6-2 or 6-3, excuse me. And they go home quietly, getting swept by the Chicago Cubs.
Good recap. The tail of the tape. Runners in scoring position did nothing. All series, man. All series. Some bright spots. Shout out to Pete Alonso, the polar bear with number 35. Yeah. He's starting to look a lot better at the plate. He's hitting pitches that he should hit for power. He just looks better. Again, this is this type of season. You're going to get that. Especially with a guy with crazy power like that that's looking to drive runs. 35 home runs.
Yeah.
He's got more in there.
No small feat. I think the only silver linings of this series are Pete Alonso finding that power stroke again, and the Mets bullpen just absolutely dealing in this series.
Yeah. David Peterson, that was tough.
Yeah.
I was looking up while you were doing the recap. I wasn't being rude. I was looking up on Twitter. You sarcastically said, what should we talk about on the pod? And somebody, Mets Tina, at Mark Stana. Pretty great. At Mark Stana. I've always been curious about how pitchers eventually realize they're better suited for relief pitching, and they asked me to direct it.
Interesting.
It's not a normal process, but this is, I wanted to lead that question into David Peterson. I think that they may have talked to him beforehand about this being his last foray until they possibly might go into the bullpen. I don't know, because David Peterson looked like he was throwing it as hard as he could.
Yeah.
Because his timing was off.
Yeah.
His front side was flying open. He was missing arm side up and away constantly. And that's the lack of adjustments. We talk about it with Diaz, how you can get back to it. That's what I think happened. And then much to the dismay of the Mets, the Cubs capitalized. He also threw, I think, 3 walks with a 3-2 changeup or something like that, which was insane to me. But he just wasn't sharp today. His stuff looked good. He didn't like lose his stuff, which is a sign that he can move. But this was atrocious. He had a chance to. We've been talking about. I've been a fan. I'm still a fan of David Peterson moving forward. But I think this was unless something happens in the rotation, welcome to the bullpen game.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. All 5 of his pitches had a 1 mile per hour or more uptick in velocity. He did throw his changeup a ton. It was up 3 miles per hour, so I think he was overthrowing it for sure, and just couldn't locate. And I also found it very peculiar that that was the pitch he was challenging guys with on full counts. Maybe it was part of a new game plan that just wasn't executed properly, but
Well, I mean, it's a feel thing.
yeah,
A 3-2 changeup is a great pitch because guys are like, all right, I'm looking fastball.
right.
I think you get it. But he started it. He was missing arm side so bad that those are no doubters. Out of the hand, the hitter's like, that's nowhere near the zone. It was
Yeah.
a lot of just waste. So I understand the concept, but when you're not around the plate at all, you got to go to your best pitch, and that's his slider,
Yeah.
especially when his fastball is nowhere near the zone. So
Yeah, just a tough watch from Peterson. We had spoke his praises a lot. I think that, September was really kind of his audition to, bump one of those guys out of the game for a slot. And he wasn't up to the task. He'll end the season with some good numbers still, if this is his last start, so something encouraging for next year. But David Peterson, I think, is probably still that one season away from really reaching that potential. We saw it on full display, which is
if
it's a tough pill.
if I were to be buying stock in players, I would really buy some stock in David Peterson right now because he's not on anybody's radar as far
Right.
as, big guy for next year. But I think he's going to play a very important role for this team next year. And I expect him to make another leap forward. He learned. This is growing pains, man. These are learning experiences. It sucks and it hurts, but that's how you get better.
Yep.
You dig into it. Why wasn't it good? What was my mental approach? What was I doing physically? How do I get better and learn from these things? And that's the growth that you make. It's hard to do because he knew he was auditioning, basically. He's trying his best, but deep down he understood the ramifications of what this start could mean for him.
Yeah.
And he knows he came up short. So that's a tough pill to swallow. But as a starting pitcher, or maybe moving forward, you have these days in between to get your work done physically and then dive in and try to get granular on what you did wrong, what you didn't, and really dive into the numbers and the video. So
Yeah. So I mean, big kudos to the Cubs, who did not look like a last place team in this series. They played with urgency. They executed in key positions. They played great small ball. They pitched well. And I think the Mets really just got a little outclassed here. They got caught flat-footed. I think we can still do the apple of our eye. I mean, you look at these numbers and they're really like not terrible. You expect the Mets to get at least one win with some of these performances.
we can absolutely do the apple.
Yeah. But before we do, I got to tell you who it's brought to us by, and it's a new sponsor. So shout out to the new sponsor. Sorry that you're debuting on kind of a downer episode, but I think it's a fitting one, honestly. And this one is from BetterHelp. BetterHelp is for more athletes.
Just started this at the top of the show.
Maybe more athletes are speaking out about the importance of mental health, but you don't have to be a pro to want to be at the top of your game. Everyone needs to take care of their mental well-being, whether you're an athlete or not. And therapy is the best way to stay in peak mental shape. If you are a Mets fan, you might need someone to talk to right about now. It's September. It's the classic month where Mets melt down. So if you're thinking about, maybe talking to somebody, BetterHelp might be the route that you need to go to. I'm sure they have some Mets fans in stock there. If you're thinking about giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. It's convenient, accessible, affordable, and entirely online. So you don't have to leave your house. Get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey, and you can switch therapists at any time if there's any complications. So when you're ready to feel at the top of your mental health game, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/Shea to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/Shea. Thank you to them for sponsoring today's Apple of Our Eye. And Mets fans, keep your head held high because we have some good performances to talk about.
Yeah, we do. We do. We have a couple of choices. For me, there's two, and you had already mentioned it before. I'm going to let you go first, and then I'll go around it.
Sure, I'm gonna give mine to Pete Alonso. So a little round of applause for Pete. There was some decent hitting performances in the series. Eduardo Escobar goes 3 for 11 with a triple. Lindor hits a home run. He goes 3 for 11 with a couple walks. McNeil does his job, 3 for 10. Nito had a great game in the final game, 2 for 3 with a homer. I'm going to give it to Alonso, and it wasn't a fantastic series for Alonso. He goes 3 for 11, as some of the other guys did as well. But he does punch 2 home runs and draws a walk. And this was the big thing. Alonso had 3 home runs in his past 33 games going into this series. He gets 2 home runs in 3 games here, which is a big sign of his power stroke returning. And we've said it so many times. When Alonso isn't hitting, it's tough for this Mets lineup to kind of become a cohesive unit like they have all year without that big bopper in the middle. But Alonso, he gets 141 home runs on his career. That's now the fourth most in MLB history for any player's first 4 seasons, and that's with the 2020 shortened season, which just speaks volumes to Pete's power. He now has 335 plus home run seasons, tied for the most in Mets history. I'm sure he's going to break that record sometime soon. And it's important for Pete to figure it out again. We haven't seen Pete go in the opposite way, getting his singles like he was doing in June and July. And I'm hoping that the return of his power stroke can be the return of just better at bats in general. Keith Hernandez pointed out that Alonso's stance has changed a lot. He pointed that out on the broadcast. They showed that he was a little bit more closed off than he was just a month ago. So I don't know if that's something that the Mets are going to address or if it's a new approach by Alonso. But in this series, he took some better at bats. Probably could have had 3 home runs if not for that, clipped foul ball. But Alonso, 3 for 11, 2 home runs. That's good enough for my apple in this series.
Beautiful. Well deserved. Power stroke looked great. 35 homers. We addressed it. That is a monster.
Yep.
That is sure. Huge. This guy is an elite power hitter. So shout out to him. We've already talked about it a couple of times in this series. The apple of my eye is the Mets bullpen.
Yes, sir. Had to let you have them.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, shout out to the Mets bullpen, the whole bullpen, not just the top end guys. This is the other side, the guys that pitch when the Mets are losing to keep the game close. They did. The Mets had chances to win every one of these games because the guys that came in after the starting pitcher kept the score basically the same, giving moments where guys hit into double plays a lot more ramifications because they have a chance to get closer to this actual ball game. So they had a huge series, 17 and 2/3 innings pitched, only 2 earned runs. They gave up 9 hits in 17 and 2/3, 2 walks in 17 and 2/3, and 28 strikeouts in 17 and 2/3 innings pitched. Incredible. Guy, all of them. It showed the depth of the Mets bullpen when it's going really well. You got mop-up duty from Diaz, from Ottavino, guys that normally pitch in positive games came into a negative game script, and that's hard for guys to do, especially when they know they're just getting work in. It feels different. They did their job. They came in and solidified it. It was a home run off Seth Lugo on a pitch that was a good pitch, and he still looks sharp, and sometimes it happens. And outside of that, was Trevor Williams doing dominance that he's done all year long. He's been incredible. He's a team MVP, but he's been able to do it all. But shout out to the Mets bullpen, the apple of my eye.
Much deserved apple. Whenever the bullpen's up for grabs, I'm always going to let you take them because those are a lot of great performances, though. Tommy Hunter has been really sharp. His last 9 games, 11 innings, 2.45 ERA. Michael Givens has been awesome ever since his blowups. Last 7 games for him since he's moved down in the pecking order. 10 in the 3rd innings, no earned runs, 10 strikeouts for him. Trevor May got 2 shutout innings with 3 Ks in this one, and Alex Claudio out of nowhere, 3 in the 3rd innings, no earned runs in his Mets tenure. But the story is definitely Trevor Williams, who has been moved all over the place this entire season, and he has answered the call pretty much every time. 40 and 2/3 innings as a reliever this year, a 1.77 ERA. This is a guy that, may I remind you, as I have many times this season, he did not even get a PPP when we did the preseason PPPs. We forgot him. We left him off our list.
We did. It was a choice because we talked about it.
Yeah, I think it was between him and
he's going to be the swing guy. Everybody knows who he is. Yep. And he gave us a big.
He was like, "What? Where's my episode? This is bullshit."
What's the Friends one? Do you know that one? What'd they do? That's right. Good. I'm proud of you right now.
There you go. Yeah, so Trevor Williams, it didn't end up mattering, but definitely pitched incredibly well. Almost set the Mets consecutive strikeout record there while he was at it, which would have been really funny if it happened in this game. I think would
Who
have been
holds
awesome.
that? Doc Gooden,
I think
Tom
no, I think it's
Seaver,
DeGrom. I think
DeGrom,
DeGrom broke
Scherzer.
Severs. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it's
Trevor
Trevor
Williams.
Williams.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah, you remember him, the guy who didn't get a PPP. So Mets bullpen looks great. DeGrom still punches out 10 in a quality start, gets the loss there. Mets get swept for the first time in the 3-game set. They've lost 5 home games in a row. Their magic number actually went down this series, believe it or not. It's down to 7 because the Brewers lost to the Cardinals, and they still somehow, some way, are in first place with a half-game lead because the Braves are playing maybe their worst baseball since April. They went 2-4 against the Mariners and Giants. They go home now to play the Philadelphia Phillies, who have been red hot. That'll be an interesting series. And, the Mets, they have a lot to think about. They don't have an off day to kind of calibrate. They're welcoming in the Pirates for a 4-game set. And it's go time. It's time to figure it out, man.
So here's the difference. Shout out to the Braves for finally looking like a baseball team.
We appreciate it.
Uh, this is a team that's been answering the bell. When they said, all right, backs against the wall, we need to right this ship. They've been doing it. They got swept. Wake up call.
Yeah.
Not that they needed it. Again, this team has been great. They've understood what's happening, how they're playing. They've been self-aware. They're not, clueless to what's going on. So I expect them to come back in. You sent out a great tweet. I can't wait to watch the game tomorrow at 7 p.m. and expect different things.
I'm gonna watch. We're all gonna watch.
Yeah, we're all gonna tune in because we are invested and we care and we love the Mets. So this is a big one. This is a big 4-game set with the Pirates, who kind of wiped the floor with us a little bit.
Only in that first game, but
yeah. But they showed they were competitive. We had to scratch out some wins. But that's you want to get to the preview, or do you want to do a little bit different?
I mean, I think I can let you dive into this preview, man.
Yeah, I think we should talk about it. Then we can bounce back and forth a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is the 4-game set with the Pittsburgh Pirates trying to right this ship. The Mets lose a crappy 3-game sweep at home against the Cubs, looking to bounce back against another National League Central foe, another subpar team on the record side of things. Can we do it? Game 1, Cookie Carrasco, 14-6 with a 3.8 ERA, going up against JT Brubaker, who is 3-11 with a 4.36. Pete Alonso in his career versus Brubaker, he's 2-for-6 with a home run. James McCann, 3-for-4 with 2 home runs. We can see if he can continue to swing a hot bat. Ben Gamel on the other side of things against Cookie Carrasco, 5-for-8 with a homer. Cookie bounced back with 6 innings of 1-run ball against Miami in his last start. Looked sharp. Let's see if he can continue. That is game 1. Game number 2, the other guy, Taijuan Walker. That's our man. He is looking to continue the sweep of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Speak it into fruition, make things happen. He is 11-4 with a 3.48 ERA. He's going up against a very good pitcher in his own right, Mitch Keller, who looked good against the Mets in his last start. He's on a little bit of a heater. In his last 3, he's got 19 innings pitched, only 2 earned runs, 18 Ks, and a .95 ERA. He's 5-10 and 4-1 on the year. Rodolfo Castro homered off Walker in the last start against Pittsburgh. Tyler Naquin in his career against Mitch Keller. Let's see if he gets a start. He is 4-for-10. That is game 2 with Taijuan Walker on the bump. Game number 3, Chris Bassett looking for a get-right game after his mediocre start at subpar. Let's see if he can get right on the year. He's 13-8 with a 3.44 ERA. He is going up against a familiar face in Bryce Wilson, former Brave, now Pirate, guy that he was slated to start, but they decided to go with a opener and it did not work out for them. Let's see what happens here. He is 3-8 with a 6.03 ERA on the year. Tyler Naquin, another name. Let's see if he gets 2 starts here. He's 3-for-6 with 2 home runs off Wilson. Bassett's loss versus the Cubs is his first start going under 5 innings since the beginning of June. Is that June?
Yep.
6. January, February, March.
You nailed it.
June. You're gonna
Math
have to
bug.
write these out in our notes a little bit.
I have faith in you. You got it.
Since June 8th versus the Padres, that was the bad outing that he got lost, and then he's been incredible ever since. Let's see if he can bounce back in one down start. The Mets scored 4 runs with 2 home runs off Wilson in the first week of September when they last faced the Pirates. That is game 3. Game 4, Jacob deGrom in his own little get right. He only went 6 and gave up 3 whole runs. How
He's
dare
washed.
he? He's 5-2 with an ERA well north of 2 at 2.01. He's going up against Johan Oviedo, who's 3-2 with a 3.34 ERA. Brian Reynolds against our man deGrom. He's 2 for 3 on the career. deGrom he allowed over 2 runs for just the second time in 8 starts on his career versus the Cubs. He struck out 8 batters or more in his last 7 starts, and the Mets scored 4 runs with 5 walks versus Oviedo in a 10-0 win on the 7th of September. That is your 4-game set. Game 1 is Cookie versus Brubaker. Game 2, Taiwan versus Mitch Keller. Game 3, Bassett versus Wilson. And Game 4, DeGoat versus Oviedo. That is it. That is our get right. That is the ball games.
Well done. I love the energy. Long-time listener, Velcro Baby, aka Linda Hughes, says,
Velcro Baby. That's a great, first of all, great Twitter handle. I love it every time I see it. She interacts with us all the time. Shout out to Linda. Thank you.
Awesome. Listens to every episode. She says, preview the upcoming series as you always do and stay positive. Let's talk about the positives here. The Mets, they just took a series against the Pirates. They lost that disappointing game 1. They were able to bounce back and take the other 2. One of them was a 10-0 rout. And there's a lot of guys with great numbers here. Keep your eye on Alonso and McCann. They got great numbers against Brubaker. I think the biggest challenge of this series is going to be Mitch Keller, who has seemingly found it. He was one of the guys I had my eye on at the beginning of the season. His last 3 starts have been awesome against all contending teams. So that'll be a challenge for the Mets, which I think they need. You know, they've been facing a lot of these so-called easy pitchers lately, although you mentioned the Cubs rotation has been better. I think they need a little bit of a punch in the mouth. They got punched in the mouth by Keller last time. I think they want to get him again and see what they can do. Chris Bassett, I bet you he's pissed off about not eating some innings last outing because that's what he does. I think he's going to be angry. And Jacob deGrom, that's not a guy you want to be pissed off against you. And those bunt hits, I mean, he shouldn't have, but he said that the loss was on him, that he needed to pitch better. And I think he's going to come out with a vengeance against these Pirates. I think that these guys got punched in the mouth. They got swept, and that was their wake-up call. And I think that they're going to come out mad in this series, angry, and it all starts with the offense and them coming through, whether it's lineup mixtures or what have you. I think that these bats will finally wake up against the team they just played that they're familiar with. And they got 4 games, which I think is a blessing for the Mets. I think 4 games with Pittsburgh is a very good sign for them.
2 things that you mentioned. One was the deGrom postgame saying, this one's on me. I needed to throw up zeros and I didn't. That's a different side of deGrom.
Yep.
You know, we don't normally see that kind of approach. I think he's completely in, and there's been no proof that he wasn't, but I think that was a cool sign to see that he's all in on this Mets team.
Yep.
He's over his own issues and thinking about himself, but obviously he's caring about his arm, but I think he's completely bought in to looking them as the Mets go, I go on the season. He's trying to win a World Series now, which was a cool thing to hear. It wasn't like, you know, I was trying to do this and I couldn't quite do that. He was just talking baseball, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
Number 2, and again, this is another hat tip to Buck Showalter, mixing that lineup up, understanding that, hey, this isn't just, you know, throw the same thing on the wall and expect a different result. This is like, hey, I see what's happening. Our offense is struggling. Let's mix it up. He took a little, you know, shake of the Etch-a-Sketch and see what pops up. And he mixed it up, and I didn't mind it. I liked seeing some of the different things. He has guys that are very versatile that do similar and different things, and he moved them around the lineup just to get a spark. He's aware of what's happening. He sees that the offense looks, you know, stagnant, and he's willing to do something to shake it up because he knows he's going to get asked, why are you mixing it up? Why is this guy going to the 2 spot? What's going on? And he goes, we're not scoring runs. I got to try something. This is, you know, I can't just keep rolling the same thing out and expect different results. That's the definition of insanity. And Buck Showalter is far from that. Those are 2 like positive signs about your conversation that you're having. that I thought, again, is a great sign, indication of who this Mets team is in their DNA.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that it was kind of the polar opposite of the Yankees a little bit, because I always hear Yankees fans complaining about seeing a different lineup every night. And for the Mets, we've had pretty much a similar lineup the 1 through 4 had been the same for maybe 120 games in a row. But a lineup shakeup is exactly what this team needed. I think you're going to see another weird lineup tonight, and it's going to stay weird until something clicks and something works. And that's, kudos to Buck there. He said that the old saying, play better. That was his post game quote in the final game after the sweep. You just got to play better. He knows his guys are capable. So
that is a fact. That's again, that's a situation, and I don't, I like Buck as a manager, and this was one of the reasons why, because he's not denying some of the things that fans have seen in the past. I love Louis Rojas, but he was kind of in over his head,
yeah,
managing for the first time in a pandemic with a team that has high expectation that's underperforming. Do you, as a first-time manager, confront some of these guys, or do you, wait and see what's going on? And he chose to kind of wait and see. And I think at the time that wasn't the right call. But Buck Showalter is like, hey, we need some change. We need this. Let's go. He didn't care if he's going to piss somebody off that they got moved down, because he's like, look, this isn't about you. It's about the Mets. So, that was another nice thing to see.
Yeah, so the Mets will likely be getting Max Scherzer back soon, which is a welcome sign. Scherzer
That's a
made the right
huge
call.
welcome sign.
Yeah. He tossed 3 2/3 innings, and his rehab started Syracuse. Francisco Alvarez got to catch him, which is very cool. Scherzer said he feels excellent. He's ready to go. So I think that, pulling himself from that game, going on the IL for that stint, most likely the right call, because now I think the Mets will have him for the stretch run here.
Yeah, Linda wants some positivity. That's positive.
Yeah.
Seeing Scherzer on his way back, who looked good. He said he's probably ready to go his next turn in the rotation. Once again, this is what it comes down to for the Mets' success. DeGrom and Scherzer at the top of that rotation. If you want to do any bit of damage, if you want to go far into these playoffs, those are your two guys that you are going to have to lean on. They will be your sled dogs and the Iditarod. They will be the only two out there that, if you don't have them, your dogs are going to go everywhere. These are your leaders, the front runners, the two co-captains pushing this team, and they can carry you to the promised land. So I hope they are, and I pray that they are healthy and ready to go at full strength once the playoffs begins, because that is a 1-2 punch to reckon with.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been a lot of talk of what if the Mets fall into a wild card spot, and I just keep thinking that if you're in that 4 wild card spot, you have home field advantage, and you have DeGrom, Scherzer, and Bassett if you need them in Game 3. If you don't win that set, I don't know if you were meant to have this run, because that's a tough set to win, to go to Citi Field and face 3 guys that could all take a Game 1 ball for pretty much any team.
Yeah, I want to win. I want the Mets to win.
I want to win the division too.
I do. I think it would be great. But it doesn't really matter to me. Overall, you get into this series and you have to beat these guys. It's important. Obviously, you would want DeGrom and Scherzer lined up to go 1-2 in a bigger game, in a bigger set, because if they go in the wild card round, you're going to get them in 3-4,
right,
or 2-3 for the next round, depending. So they would be lined up as well, but it doesn't matter. These guys are your horses. These are your two leaders, and they are 2 of the best, if not the best, pitchers in baseball. So
Scherzer takes care of himself there. He'll be back soon. Tyler McGill still an outing away. He only went 2/3 of an inning, gave up 5 earned runs, so he's going to stay at Syracuse. Continue to calibrate. Our friend Drew Smith.
You think he got punished for giving up runs?
I think they want him to go multiple innings, and
no, that's a fact. They want him to stretch it out a little bit in the bullpen. So, and he wasn't getting the call up and said, "You're not good enough yet."
Yeah, exactly. I was like, actually, maybe you should stay down there. Drew Smith, he's going to pitch on back-to-back days, Friday and Saturday. So that's tomorrow and the next day. After which the Mets will probably activate him, which is very exciting. So maybe we'll see Drew for the series after the Pittsburgh series, which is exciting. Joey Lucchesi, he's going to get stretched out to 3 innings, and Brett Beatty took some grounders before yesterday's game. So guys are
Yeah,
getting
that was
healthy.
shocking. Good for
Yeah,
him.
I thought he was done for the
Seems
season.
early.
Yeah.
Another little bright spot. Max Scherzer got to throw to Francisco Alvarez,
That's
which
awesome.
is awesome. I mean, Scherzer's going to be here for a while. Alvarez is, trying to kick that door down to the big leagues. And he had a little bit of a scare with that ankle. Nice to see him back. That was light. These are small positive signs for an organization moving forward. That's not just about the 2022 team.
Yeah. So I want to pitch you some, or not pitch you something, just get your temperature on something. It was one of the questions that was asked on our Twitter.
Oh yeah, we had a lot of responses to
We had
like
a
what are we going
ton.
to talk
We
about.
won't be able to
Super
get to
funny.
them all,
I
but this
appreciate you
one,
guys.
yeah, this one really caught my eye because it's something that I actually forgot about until I looked back into it. It was a team that you were part of, the 2016 Mets. The Mets that year were 80-69 on September 18th. They were in a playoff spot. They welcomed the Braves into Citi Field, who were in last place, and they got swept. They got punched in the mouth, fell to 80-72. Right after that was the Asdrubal Cabrera walk-off home run against the Phillies. Now, I know it was a long time ago, but I want to ask you if you remember the temperature of that clubhouse, where everyone's heads were at, and how that team was able to bounce back.
Is that do you know this for a fact? Is that the Ender Inciarte
I believe
robbing?
the final game was Ender Inciarte robbing
Yeah,
Cespedes.
so I remember that. I remember the feeling too. We got swept. We took a lead in that last game. And we had Familia pitching, and
Yes, you guys were up 3-0 in that
we
game.
get a rain delay on the last game, and Familia comes out and is flat, understandably, and they put together some runs, and it felt huge because we had just gotten, we're like, oh shit, we lost, we swept. And then up steps Cespedes, and he hits what would be, I think it would have been a game winner walk off.
Yes, it would have been
And
a two-run homer.
instead, Ender Inciarte gets the best nickname in all of baseball, probably, and he put it on his Gold Glove outfielder, game ender, which is
Really good.
unbelievable. Shout out
Really
to
good.
Ender Inciarte, awesome teammate, one of my favorite. He's a Venezuelan. Got to play with him. That was sick because he ended the game on a robbed home run. Super badass. But that was tough for us. It felt like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong because the rain delay. We had Familia lined up. He got, sat for a while. But we felt good. Like we were like, all right, we can bounce back. Who did we play after that? Who was that?
So right after that was that game with the Phillies where back and forth, great game.
Yeah, that was a fun back and forth, and then that was the big home run from another one of my favorite teammates, another Venezuelan dude, and Asdrubal, the bat flip, arms up in the air, huge home run. That's what happens. Those are moments. That was a we need you baseball game, and we got it, and it was a huge momentum swing because that was one of those down moments, and that's kind of where we are now. Who said that on Twitter? Do you remember?
This was from Corb with 6 O's.
Corbo with 6 O's. Yeah, good question, man. I do remember it, and I remember the series against Philly, that moment in particular being like one of those huge moments for us when we needed it, because we had kind of a letdown year after going to the World Series. We were back and forth, bouncing around, and the Braves had surged to the front, and we were floundering, and we needed that. So that righted the ship. We felt good going in, and then it didn't work for us. We ran into the wild card game of Madison Bumgarner, Cole Gillespie,
Cole fucking Gillespie.
Gillespie.
Connor.
Yeah,
we're allowed to get his name
right.
wrong.
See,
we're not against.
I think it was even Gillespie. It's like with an A or something.
We don't know him the decent.
But that was a moment, and I don't feel the same way. I'm not in that clubhouse, but I don't feel the same way about that team than I did about
Of course.
this current Mets team, because they're better than we were in 2016. They played better all year. They have nothing to prove. They just have to get back to who they are. Yeah, so I don't think they need to have one of these moments, but I think this is a nice spot for them.
Yeah, I think the larger point there is that, this is a team that hit rock bottom after. So right before that was Granderson's extra inning home run against the Twins, which a lot of fans remember. That team hit rock bottom. They bounced back in a huge way, and they won the rest of the way, and they made the playoffs. And a lot of teams don't remember that. A lot of fans don't remember that team because of the one-game playoff. But it just goes to show that this is a much better roster we have this year, and they're fully capable of making that same bounce back. And I think they needed a wake-up call because they weren't playing great baseball before this. They were scratching out series wins against bad teams, and they kind of need a fuck you series. They need to kind of stomp on the Pirates like they should be. And I think that's what the 2016 Mets did right after to the Phillies, and that's what these Mets can do to the Pirates. So, cool. Great question from Corb. Hey everyone, today's episode of Shea Station was brought to you guys by Candy Digital. They're the official NFT partner of Major League Baseball. They take the obsession and thrill of card collecting digital with a totally cool collection. You got 5 levels of rarity: core, obviously, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary. And you can get all your favorite Mets at Candy. All 80 players on the 2022 All-Star roster will be included in the series with player stats updated daily. Love that. You can purchase with a credit card on Candy's marketplace at mlb.candy.com. The blue edition is $25 and the gold edition is $150. What a steal. So set up your account now at candy.com/MLB. Start your collection today. That's once again candy.com/MLB. And thank you to them for sponsoring today's episode of Shea Station. I think that's all we got.
Is that it? Good. Nice. Oh, I mentioned Devil in Ohio on Netflix. People are talking.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen that.
I'm 6 out of 8 episodes. Very cheesy. Not mad that I'm watching it. It's really predictable so far, and not predictable. It's very scripted and kind of like, we'll see what the last 2 episodes do. But again, that's great. Someone said House of the Dragon, incredible.
I'm waiting to binge it all in one go.
What? Why would you do that?
Because I know what kind of viewer.
Well, I don't know. Your generation, dude. I don't know what's going on. You have to watch it all in one night. Why would you do that to yourself?
I don't know in one night, but I know because it's really good and my friends are raving about it, I'm going to want to watch one episode.
Don't you want to be in the know?
So I've decided
to do that.
I think it's 10 episodes. When it gets to episode 8, that's when I'm going to start watching. I'm going to watch it all the way through, and then I'm going to be with everybody for the finale.
You don't like, you're not afraid of spoilers on Twitter and all that?
I haven't seen anything. All good. I got it muted on Twitter.
I'm gonna start DMing.
Don't you dare.
Yeah, House of the Dragon is awesome. I was nervous about it because I loved Game of Thrones. If you get one of those sequels or a alternate take on it, you're worried because they're just trying to capitalize on it, but they did the right thing. They took their time, and this is fire. So
yeah, I'm glad to hear that it's good, because that ending,
Linda Velcro baby Linda, sorry, I did not enjoy Where the Crawdad Sings.
Yeah, she's a fan
as much as she did.
Also, Office Sam and T-Jack, big fans of Where the Crawdads Sing. So I think you're the minority.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was the
yeah.
It was fine. It was fine. I'm sorry. I'm not going to read the book because I didn't enjoy the movie. And if you love the movie and love the book, that's how you feel.
I like the movie. I do love the book, though. Book's really well written.
The movie was fine. It was fine.
Yeah, I'll take fine.
There's so much good content out there.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel about Devil in Ohio. I feel kind of like there's just so much good TV out there to watch.
Can't be wasting your time.
I feel like I'm like, man, I could be seeing something that's going to blow my mind. That's how I felt about Where the Crawdad Sings.
Yeah, but you're in the middle of it now. You got to finish it.
Is it Where the Crawdad Sings or Where the Crawdads Sing?
Second one.
Okay, got it.
Nailed it. All right, guys, get the hell out of here. We'll see you Monday.
We'll see you guys Monday.
Yeah. So let's go, Mets. Yeah, win some games this weekend.
Shout out to Polar Pete, LFGM.
LFGM. We need that right now. Go Mets.